I will help businesses on the first C, cash flow, through the Jobs Support Scheme, or JSS, which supports firms in retaining and paying their workers. When the circuit breaker was imposed, I increased the wage support under the JSS to 75% of the first $4,600 of wages in April for every local employee. When the circuit breaker was extended in May, I extended the higher level of support to May. This is because most firms had to either stop operating or operate at a much reduced level. The temporary increase in support was planned for only 2 months. Coming out of the circuit breaker, businesses will not be able to return immediately to pre-circuit levels of operations. Hence, I reviewed the original JSS schedule with fellow ministers and will make 3 enhancements to the scheme. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, may I ask the clerks to distribute a summary to all members of this House. The first enhancement is to increase the duration of JSS payouts by 1 month for all firms. The first enhancement is to increase the duration of JSS payouts by 1 month for all firms. I previously announced that the JSS would cover 9 months, computed based on wages paid to local employees up to July 2020. To provide additional relief for firms as they safely reopen after the circuit breaker period, I will provide an additional month of support. This will be computed based on the wages paid in August 2020. This support will be at the same levels as those provided during the non-circuit breaker months. Firms will receive this additional month of payout in the October 2020 JSS payout. The second enhancement is for firms that cannot resume operations immediately after the circuit breaker. For such firms, I will continue providing wage support at 75% until August 2020, or when they are allowed to reopen, whichever is earlier. This includes retail outlets, gym and fitness studios, and cinemas. The third enhancement is to refine the classification of firms in the different JSS tiers. This arose from feedback from industry associations and businesses. I will increase the level of wage support for firms in sectors that are more severely impacted, from the previous 25% to either 75% or 50%. Firms in the aerospace sector, including those in maintenance, repair, and operations, will now receive 75% of wage support. Firms in the retail and marine and offshore sectors will now receive 50% support. The full list of eligible sectors and the qualifying criteria are in the annex. Eligible firms will receive a back payment to top up their previous JSS payouts to the higher level of support. This retrospective payment will be made by July. For the built environment sector, which includes construction, we will raise the wage support to 75%. This sector will be affected by the phased and gradual resumption of activities. This 75% support will only apply to wages paid between June and August. In total, these 3 enhancements to the JSS will cost $2.9 billion. Through the JSS, we are flowing a total of $23.5 billion to firms to support wage costs for 10 months. I urge leaders in our industries to use this additional cushion to retain your staff, speed up adaptation, and move towards a viable business model. Please make full use of the schemes available to train workers and upgrade your corporate capabilities. Time is running out. Please act fast. I'm heartened that some firms which have not been as badly affected by the pandemic have returned or donated their JSS payouts. Thank you. I encourage other firms that are able to do so as well. I will also provide support for businesses for the second C, costs. During the circuit breaker period, we provided a foreign worker levy waiver and rebate to support businesses employing migrant workers that had to suspend operations. Some businesses will not be allowed to resume operations on site immediately after the circuit breaker is lifted. I will extend the foreign worker levy waiver and rebate for up to 2 months for such businesses. This will include all businesses in the construction, marine and offshore and process sectors. The waiver will be 100% in June and 50% in July. The rebates will be $750 in June and $375 in July. To help businesses manage costs in these challenging times, the government will defer the planned increase in CPF contribution rates for senior workers by 1 year, from 1st January 2021 to 1st January 2022. The CPF Transition Offset Scheme will similarly be deferred until after the higher contribution rates take effect. I thank the NTUC and the Singapore National Employers Federation for supporting this. Many businesses have also given feedback that while the GSS provides support on wage costs, they are facing difficulties with rental costs. This is especially tough on SMEs. Given that businesses will need more time and support to get back on their feet post-circuit breaker, we will now do more. We will significantly add to the support for rental costs earlier provided through the property tax rebates for 2020 in the Unity and Resilience budgets. We also expect landlords to do something, and that will be legislated. First, I will provide a cash grant to offset the rental costs of SME tenants to be disbursed through property owners. Taken together with the property tax rebate, the government will, in effect, offset about 2 months of rental for qualifying SME tenants of commercial properties and about 1 month for qualifying SME tenants of industrial and office properties. The grant will be disbursed automatically to property owners from end July. This grant will cost about $2 billion. Details are in the annex. Second, the Minister for Law will introduce the new bill next week. This will mandate that landlords contribute by granting a rental waiver to their SME tenants who have suffered a significant revenue drop in the past few months. We deliberated on this matter very carefully. The government does not ordinarily intervene in contracts after they have been entered into. However, as the Minister for Law had explained in his second reading speech on the COVID-19 Temporary Measures Bill, in exceptional situations such as this, the government needs to intervene through legislation with temporary targeted steps to safeguard the economic structure for the common good. The new bill will also cover provisions on temporary relief from onerous contractual terms such as excessive late payment interest or charges. It will also allow tenants to repay their arrears through installments. If the bill is passed by Parliament, SME tenants in commercial properties who have suffered a significant revenue drop will benefit from a total of 4 months of rental relief, shared equally between the government and landlords. Other SME tenants in industrial and office properties will also be given some relief. SMEs also already benefit from a temporary relief from rental payment obligations till October. Together, this will provide substantial support on rental costs for our SMEs. The government will also continue to lead by example in supporting our tenants. I will provide 2 more months of rental waivers for commercial tenants and hawkers. The total rental waiver will now be 4 months for commercial tenants. Storeholders in hawker centres and markets managed by government agencies will get a total of 5 months of rental waivers. For industrial, office and agricultural tenants of government agencies, I'll provide 1 more month of rental waiver. They will now receive a total of 2 months of rental waiver. We also ensure that these measures flow through to subtenants, many of whom are SMEs. This will dovetail with measures for SMEs being studied by the Minister for Law.